They say youth is the best time of life. But what if that's not true? What if the real treasure of life doesn't lie in your 20s or 30s, but in your 70s and beyond? For so many, the idea of turning 70 feels like entering the final chapter. Society often tells us that old age means decline, limitation, and loss. But today I want to challenge that belief. Life after 70 is not the closing curtain. It's the golden sunrise. It's the moment when you finally stop rushing, stop pretending, stop living for others, and start living for yourself. So if you're 70 or beyond, or if you have loved ones in this beautiful season of life, stay with me because I'm going to show you why life after 70 can truly be the best years of your life. When you're young, life feels like a race to build a career, to raise a family, to buy a house, to prove yourself. But by the time you're 70, you realize something powerful. You don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. You've seen life from every angle, victory and failure, joy and heartbreak, and that perspective brings freedom. What once felt like a disaster now feels like just another stepping stone. That wisdom allows you to enjoy life without unnecessary stress. Think of it like this. In your younger years, you climb the mountain for success. But after 70, you sit at the peak and admire the breathtaking view. At 70, many of the roles and responsibilities that weighed heavily on your shoulders begin to ease. The children are grown. The career is complete. The constant pressure to be somebody fades away. This is the season of life where you can finally do what you want, not what the world demands. Maybe it's picking up that guitar you once left behind. Maybe it's learning to paint, writing poetry, or starting a garden. Do you know what the beauty of 70 is? You're no longer living for deadlines. You're living for joy. I once met an 82-year-old woman who decided to learn salsa dancing. People asked her, "Aren't you too old for this?" She smiled and replied, "Too old for what? For joy? For laughter? For music?" That, my friends, is the spirit of life after 70. In youth, we often collect people the way we collect possessions. Hundreds of friends, dozens of colleagues, endless social circles. But with age, you realize only a few truly matter. After 70, relationships become deeper, richer, and more meaningful. You don't have time for fake smiles or empty conversations. You choose people who add warmth, laughter, and peace to your life. Imagine sitting on a porch with an old friend, sipping tea, talking not about gossip, but about memories, lessons, and dreams. That depth of connection is something youth rarely understands. This is also the age when family bonds often grow stronger. Grandchildren bring joy. Adult children bring companionship. And your presence itself becomes a blessing to those around you. Now some may argue, but after 70, the body slows down. And yes, that's true. You may not run marathons, but here's the surprising part. Health after 70 is not just about physical energy. It's about quality of life. When you take care of yourself through light exercise, good nutrition, and mental activity, you begin to feel a different kind of vitality. A vitality rooted not in strength, but in balance. I once met a 76-year-old man who walked 3 miles every morning. He told me, "I may not be fast, but every step I take is a victory." That mindset is what makes health after 70 more meaningful. How many dreams did you postpone while raising children, while working jobs, while paying bills? After 70, you finally have the time. You may not believe it, but some of the world's greatest works were created in old age. Grandma Moses, the famous American painter, began her painting career in her late 70s. Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken at age 65. Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa at 75. These stories remind us it is never too late to dream. So whether your dream is small, like learning photography, or big, like starting a community project, your age is not a barrier. It's a badge of honor. In youth, the world feels noisy. There's always a race for money, status, success. But after 70, you learn the secret. Peace is the real luxury. You don't need fancy cars, big houses, or endless possessions. You start finding joy in small things. The smell of rain, the taste of fresh fruit, the laughter of a child. You realize happiness was never outside. It was always inside. After 70, your role in society changes. You become the storyteller, the guide, the mentor. You have experiences that no book can teach, no internet can explain. When you share your wisdom with a younger generation, you become a living legacy. I once heard an 85-year-old man say, "I may not run businesses anymore, but every time I teach my grandson a lesson about honesty, I feel like I've built an empire." That's the power of elders. You shape the future, not by money, but by wisdom. At the end of life, nobody remembers the car you drove or the job you held. They remember the love you gave. Life after 70 is the perfect time to plant seeds of kindness, to forgive old grudges, to reach out to those you once lost touch with, to leave behind not just material wealth, but a legacy of love. Your words, your stories, your kindness. They live far beyond your years. So let me ask you again, why should life after 70 be the best years of your life? Because it is the season of wisdom, freedom, and peace. Because it's the time when you stop chasing and start living. Because it's the chapter where you don't just exist, you finally thrive. If you are 70 or beyond, I want you to remember this. You are not old, you are gold. You are not at the end. You are at the beginning of the most meaningful part of your journey. The world may count your years, but only you can make your years count. So live with courage, laugh with joy, and love without fear.